in my opinion, this is a Wednesday. Thursday, I'm like, something just seems off. Like, I go to participate, I'm shut down, like I'm silent, like hand gestures and the whole nine, like I'm silent. I'm not really made to participate. And when I do go to add information, it's kind of like, shut up. Like, you know what, like that's the passive aggressive part. Without anyone saying it, it's in the actions and it's in the word choice. And I'm like, okay, this is so weird. Good morning. Welcome to the Conscious Courage podcast and happy Sing It With Me Motivational Monday. I am your host, Davone'a Tashae. I meet with you all every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to provide practical steps toward our inner healing journey, or what I've coined internal glow up. So whether you're here for the first time or returning, I thank you for tuning in. The team and I are so grateful to every subscriber via YouTube, every listener on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify, and every IGU babe out there who is keeping up with us via social media at CC Podcast with DT. Y'all are locked in and we are too hyped that you're here. Ensure that you listen through to the end of this episode to receive your practical steps. And also, here's an announcement, y'all. We are seeking 100 downloads via the audio streaming platforms I just mentioned by 1 July 2024. So get out there, listen, download, like, subscribe, all of the things. Okay, let's dive into today's episode. So I go to leave and the leadership is in the office, like they're in our conference room. So I'm like, well, I can't leave. I need to provide an explanation as to why I'm seeking to leave early. We end up having a side conversation with the command chief, and then the two civilians and myself. And his explanation or his reasoning was he was going through some things. He was really stressed out and all these other things. And what I shared was what's going on at home. I don't want to say you can't, but you can't bring that to work. You can't walk around hostile towards others because of what is going on in your personal life, one. And then two, foul on leadership for knowing that this person is a firecracker, but everyone would always say, well, that's just who he is. And that's why hearing someone say, well, that's just who they are, makes me cringe, because we are tolerating and accepting behavior that is unacceptable. We are accepting behavior that, if it is from me, automatically is no good. Automatically, it's paperwork. Automatically, I'm an angry Black woman. Automatically, there are so many stereotypes that comes with that. But yet, let someone else express their anger, express their feelings, express their emotions every day, multiple times a day. Well, that's just who they are. No, that's just a toxic environment. So fast forward, I move on up. Now I am at headquarters, Air Force Reserve Command, little senior airman, like the youngest ranking and the youngest thing on the block. So my experience there spans on and off, equating to close to 6 years. So I'm not going to spend like every single year or unpack every single year while I was there. There's one area in particular or experience that I wish to highlight. Actually, there are two. So although I was at headquarters, Air Force Reserve Command, my position was still assigned at the initial base that I had left, where I just was describing the woman and the civilian gentleman. So on paper, I belonged there, but I was loaned out to another base for a full-time capacity. Picked up for deployment. Come to find out, my voucher was not my voucher was not set up for split partial payments, which you would think I probably should have known because I was in the Defense Travel System office. I was only in the DTS office to review vouchers. Like, I did not know that you can set up the partial payments. So I'm over here living my best life, working hard. Okay, working hard. And meanwhile, my rental car and my hotel is adding up, and I'm like, oh, I'll pay for it at the end of my tour, or I'll pay for it. I don't know when I was thinking. Well, I had a balance of $10,000 on that government travel card, and so we're like, whoop, got to nip this in the bud. We need to get your voucher done. Like, now I'm receiving the education on properly completing the voucher side, not just simply reviewing it when others have already done it, but doing it for myself. And so leadership, or I reach out to my home base that I left, right? Ad break. Are you seeking an electrifying speaker to ignite transformation in your audience? Well, look no further. Hi, I'm Davone'a Tashae, real estate investor, Air Force veteran, and host of the Conscious Courage podcast, where new episodes are released every Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via YouTube and all streaming audio platforms. I specialize in delivering impactful keynote speeches that inspire change and elevate your minds. Whether it's a virtual gathering or an in-person event, I bring passion, expertise, and a unique delivery to every arena or every environment that I'm in. Let's captivate your audience together and create an unforgettable experience. Contact me today to book your next event, and let's embark on this journey of transformation, or let's get all of your attendees on this journey toward internal glow up. You can book me via my website by going to www.davoneatashae.com. I'll spell that for you. It is www.DAV as in Victor, ONEATASHAE.com. I look forward to connecting with you. Take care. That was in California, like, hey, there's X, Y, and Z I need to get accomplished. The leadership here is asking that we expedite this so that I don't know, I was probably going on a trip or something. Well, these folks here were over it. And they were like, girl, you've been gone for X amount of months. You're not doing anything for us. 1, 2, no. Okay, like, gotta talk to my leadership here now. Like, hey, y'all, they told me no, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, kind of need them to get this process. And they're telling me no. So when leadership up here is reaching out through the channels, like, take care of this airman, their response was like, we don't have time for her. And we're not going to stop what we're doing just for her. What? Okay. So it's interesting when the focus shifts from taking care of airmen, because again, at this time, I'm still a senior airman. There's still so much for me to learn. I knew stuff and enough to get me accepted in a by name request to apply for this opportunity at the major command. But there are still areas that I didn't know, that I was blind to, and this was one. And the focus shifted from taking care to, well, she's no longer our responsibility, and she's up there doing that stuff. Kind of out of sight, out of mind. We're not touching it. So it was a thing. And I wonder if that would have been the case. I'm not even going to unpack that because I know what some underlying things were. And that's one of the motivating factors, or was one of the motivating factors for me to commission, because again, as I experienced in middle school, I experienced in the military, where you have people who sit in these positions of authority, and they have their own biases and they have their own thoughts, and they will use it. And it's not always for the greater good. It's not. And so gratefully, I had leadership up here who had the mindset of taking care of their people. And so I was able to receive a part-time or traditional reserve position that moved me from this toxic place to a base locally. And, we're good. There's a crab in a barrel experience that I can mention as well, but I've brought it up previously. The short version is still a person in a position of authority. And I was another by name request, and they took me off the project and replaced me with a non-African American woman. I'm gonna leave that alone. So, but again, not to make it out like, oh my gosh, it has been harsh, because these are just intricate moments with years apart, right? It's a part of the journey. It's a part of what allowed me to build resilience. It's a part of what allowed me to learn how to operate in these environments. I can't take away the fact that I was afforded opportunities that I would not have received on the outside. I can't take away that as a young 21, 22-year-old with an undergrad degree in psychology, I was aligned and given the opportunity to work as a program manager over at that time, like a $3.5 million program that was that had flight chiefs spread throughout the United States. And those men and women were responsible for training our non-prior service members, so civilians right off the street, and preparing them before they went off to basic military training. I can't deny the fact that I was sat down by colonels and taught the proper way of investing my Roth IRA, so my retirement plan, into specific bonds of finances to set myself up for when I retire. I can't deny the fact that I've been able to travel. I can't deny the fact that I've been several by name requests, that my name in itself speaks volumes, that my gifts have made room for me. I can't deny the fact that even in the way that I articulate myself, carry myself, the way that I am able to speak or give a speech is also afforded to the military. I can't deny the fact that now I'm in a position in which I have full rights and reins to attend school and have my school paid for, and on top of that have the military pay me for going to school. I can't deny the fact that I've worked with some amazing leaders, that I, as a young senior airman, was working at the major command level, that I was able to be on the executive team for two of our leaders, our Air Force Reserve commanders and chief of the Air Force Reserve, as well as their not equivalent, but their senior enlisted leader, or the Air Force Reserve Command Chief. I can't deny that I've been able to meet some phenomenal people, and that I've had people sit me down and help me work through a budget. I can't deny that I've received some remarkable letters of recommendations, and that it was those chiefs that sought me and said, okay, what are your goals and how do we help you get there? And that allowed me to be in positions where I can meet commissioning boards and be afforded the opportunity to commission. Thank you, Lord. I can't deny that. But what I can highlight is that there is a glass ceiling, and what I can highlight that I did experience crab in a barrel, and what I can highlight is that there is still adversity at hand, and that what I can highlight is that as a melanated woman serving in our armed forces, I don't have the opportunity to go into work with an attitude, with my head down, because of something that transpired previously or in my personal life, and people just go, oh, well, that's just who she is. Oh, that's just Davone'a. I'm not afforded that opportunity to have a bad day. I'm not afforded the opportunity to ever be seen outside of uniform and throwing them back with leadership or throwing them back with my peers, because automatically I'm put into this said box. Everyone else can do it, but I bet I do it. I can't, or I'm not afforded that opportunity to speak my mind so bluntly or blatantly as someone else can, without having a repercussion for that, without there being a disciplinarian action. Do you know that in the service, and they've since changed the verbiage, but it stated that we could only wear nail polish that was complementary to our skin tone. And there was a time I had on nail polish, and one person decided it was not complementary to my skin tone. And so I had to go in that say, well, actually that night I went and I had my nails changed. Did you know that a woman sat and she shared with me how she made a girl take down her singles? These are singles, y'all. Take down her singles. Now, I don't know what that girl's singles look like, but take down her hair because she, that woman, felt as if it was not within regulations. So when there is black and white, and when I say black and white, I mean writing. When there is writing that is left to the interpretation of those who may have biases or they could be racist, whatever the case may be, it puts people, in this case minorities, in a predicament to be easy targets. When we allow for the wrong people to promote up into positions of leadership, it creates a toxic environment of no accountability, of that's how it's always been done, and that's just who they are. When I fast forward into my recent experience, And this is where adversity said, girl, you ain't experienced nothing. With an F, 2 F's, Nuffin. You haven't experienced nothing. So I'm in this course that's 4 months long. And y'all, what you see is what you get. Like, this is my energy. I'm bringing you positive vibes only. Where is the silver lining? How is this glass half full? And how am I going to get you to understand that the glass is half full and not half empty? This is me. Bright, vibrant, loving. Come here, let me give you a hug, okay? I don't want to shake your hand. I want to give you a hug. And I started off this way. So we go into this course. The first 10 days of the course, I'm the only female, the only Black person. There's only 6 of us, if I'm not mistaken, in the course. The first 10 days. And then we had a foreign exchange student. And no issues. Like, I mean, of course, I stand out, right? I'm the only female, and on top of that, I'm Black. But no issues. I was raised as, for the most part, the minority. What I failed to mention is everywhere that I've worked in the military as I've progressed up, I was always the youngest and the only Black. That's the kind of favor that God has poured on me and put me in positions and into rooms and into offices where you don't see young Blacks. But you saw me. Hey, y'all. Yes, I was there, loving it and a part of the crew, okay? But fast forward to this 4 months. And we start off, there's only 10 of us. Not a big deal. We would hang out, go out and eat, cool. Well, transition. Now we are in the course that everyone is a part of. So they brought in 2 different classes, 2 different jobs. AFSC, that's the Air Force Specialty Code. They brought in 2 different AFSCs because we all still revolve around the business of logistics to teach us. Okay, cool. Whatevs. I'm excited. Now there should be some other women in the class that I can interact with, talk with, have girl time, get our fingers done, nails done, go out, whatever, have brunch, something like that. So I'm looking forward to it. We get into the classroom. Before the class starts, I get a text message from someone I met at the beginning of the course, a lieutenant colonel that I met at the beginning of the course. We met en route going to school. We exchanged information because I'm like, oh, you're cross-training, which means she's changing out of one position or one job into another. Cool. Who knows? One day I might want to do the same thing. I may not want to stay in this particular job that I'm in my entire career, or I don't know. But if I do change my mind, at least I have a point of contact that I can reach out to and just learn what that transition looked like. All right, back to the present. We're in this class together. Coolness. She hits me up like, hey, we're going to be at the same table. And I'm like, bet, that's what's up. Great. This is not how I speak to her. Let me say that also. When you're in a room and you're the only one, no one ever told me this, but this is just a responsibility that I took on for myself. I understand that when I'm in that room as the youngest, when I'm in that room as the only African American, the only Black person, whether female or, well, if I was a man, then a male, I carry that with honor, with pride, with integrity. Therefore, I watch what I say. I'm going to articulate myself, okay? I'm not speaking in my second language, which is Ebonics. I have my confidence that's just who I am. About my business. It's not playtime. When it's time to execute, it's time to execute. And if it's time to play, then I will enjoy you like that time, or enjoy the one-on-one time, or enjoy the group dynamic. But I understand that people are always watching and people are always judging and people are waiting for me to slip up because I haven't given anyone anything to hold against me in the court of law. Naturally, that's just who I am. I don't do much of anything for someone to hold something against me in the first place. But when you're in those rooms and you stick out like a sore thumb because you are the only one, I definitely felt the need to tread a little more lightly, or to tread more than someone who's of the majority. There's just a different frame of mind that I have to have. So when I say, I was like, oh, bet, that is not how I was communicating. That's how I'm communicating on my platform, on my podcast, okay? So fast forward, we get into class. First day, doing introductions. Mind you, I walk into the classroom, I sit down and I put my earbud in because I'm listening to a mindfulness speech. He's not, let me choose my words wisely, baby. People be like, mindfulness. No. the gentleman, it was a mindset call if I'm not mistaken. And like, he's just talking good talk, growth mindset type stuff for a program that I had signed up for at the end of January. So if you know, you know. And then take it out, whatever. And the people at the table are like, kind of like, okay, who are you? They had already been sitting there. I just got in, and then I'm plopped my earbud in and I'm listening to whatever. So I go to give my introduction, and this lieutenant colonel's like, oh, you don't need to do that. Like, we're going to have a time for that. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. But then it became awkward for me. Like, like, this is who I am. And I like to know people. It's weird for me to sit at a table with people I do not know and not introduce myself. I think it's rude. And secondly, it's weird. So I go to introduce myself. And then that was kind of that. As the week progresses, baby, this is on a Wednesday. And mind you, just the night before, I received a text message like, hey, we're going to be at the same, in my opinion. This is a Wednesday. Thursday, I'm like, something just seems off. Like, I go to participate, I'm shut down. Like, I'm silent, like hand gestures and the whole nine. Like, I'm silent. I'm not really made to participate. And when I do go to add information, it's kind of like, shut up. Like, you know what? Like, that's the passive aggressive part. Without anyone saying it, it's in the actions and it's in the word choice. And I'm like, okay, this is so weird. Friday comes. We have a group dynamic, talking as a group, and the lieutenant colonel's giving information about providing change and all of this stuff that you would give from the level of a squadron commander. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, that's good information. And when we break out from the large group and into our smaller group, where there's only 5 of us at a table, I'm like, hey, ma'am, may I ask a question? So that was great. The information that you gave, good. But what can I do as a second lieutenant flight commander if I see something and I want to bring about change? And she was like, well, lieutenants can raise their hand. And I said, oh, yes, ma'am. I turned to the second lieutenants at the table. And I was like, hey, I want to give y'all an example like of something that I experienced firsthand as a newly second lieutenant, newly flight commander. And if you wouldn't mind, what would you have done or how would you have addressed this? Because there was some fraud, waste, and abuse going on. And I would say like some other things, right? And I did what I could do. But I'm like, what else would y'all have done? Like, in case I come across this again, like, help me. So by the time lunch comes around, mind y'all, I had been in the Corps since the beginning of January, so like the first week of January. By this time, we are at the tail end of January. I've never been paid. I didn't have orders. Nobody inquired about that. Nobody inquired about my pay. When I mentioned I having orders, no one asked about it or anything, right? So a good solid month or so has gone by. Well, not solid month has gone by, but I'm approaching that month point, no pay. I bring this up because lunchtime hits. I received the notification that I have orders. I go to send my orders to one of the civilian instructors. He prints them off for me and I'm like, hey, do you mind endorsing my order, like signing my order off so that I can initiate it? And he was all hesitant, like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm like, okay, I'm not asking for anything illegal. Cool. I'll go to the lieutenant colonel and ask her. She's of higher ranking. And yes, she's a student, so maybe there's a barrier there. I'm not sure, but I'm going to ask her. And when I ask, she's kind of like the body language that I received let me know something was off. And because we had a rapport, I'm like, well, let me ask her about her family because maybe something's going on at home. I'm like, hey, is everything okay? Again, y'all, this is me. Like, I'm a Karen, like, hey, is everything okay? How's the family doing? Like, what's going on? And everything's good. And I'm like, okay, well, something seems, off. Like a little, like, ma'am, have I said something? Have I done something? Because I'm not sure what is happening. And she lets me know that my question was offensive. The question in which I asked, can you share what I can do as a flight commander, as a second lieutenant, at my level, at the entry level of an officer? What can I do if I want to bring about discipline, change, correction, whatever the case may be? Because I don't have the same authority that a commander has, like a sitting, has gone to school and completed school commander has. And that's exactly what I said. I said, ma'am, no, like that wasn't offensive. Immediately I went into I apologize. That's not my intent. And I said it to her, that was not my intent. And I cannot take away the way you feel or your feelings about that. All I can do is apologize and seek some clarity. I said, ma'am, I would hope that even this interaction would not cause you to forget the rapport that we had all the way up until this point, us exchanging information for you to be a mentor and me be your mentee. So the question was offensive. And then when I turned to talk to my peers and get their opinion on the scenario was also offensive to her. Apologize for that. By the end of the conversation, I probably apologized 3 or 4 times, like just to make it clear because I was really taken back. She apologized. I said it could have been a misunderstanding. I told her, it's okay. I'll reach out to my unit as it pertains to my orders. Thank you, because when I did ask her initially, she didn't want to talk about it. She's like, I like to talk about things, like when I've had a moment to think about them, like this is not a good time. And I was just like, okay, well, I apologize. And then we had the conversation. I remember thanking her, like, well, I thank you for even making the time and taking the time to talk to me when initially you didn't want to. Like, thank you. Stepped away. I went to lunch. And I had to have a conversation with God because I'm like, Lord, what just happened? Like, I am so confused, especially leading up to that moment. There was already something I was trying to figure out, like, why are these people shutting me down? Like, and when I say these people, why is this table or my table mates shutting me down? Y'all, what I'm leaving out is in this class, there were probably close to 30 something, pushing upward 20, probably like 31, 32, something like that. Only Black person. Never did it. Like, I mean, of course I noticed, like, dang, how we get more people and I'm still the only Black person? But it doesn't truly affect me because I grew up and I'm accustomed to being the only Black person. I've been afforded these opportunities and to work behind glass doors in which I'm the youngest and the only Black person. So, I mean, I'm used to it. It just comes with it, whatever. But in this instance, I'm like, this is a different feeling. This is a different only Black person feeling. And so spend time with God during lunch because I'm like, I really don't know what happened. Like, I'm actually emotional because I don't get it. And I'm not understanding how my intention on participating is somehow causing conflict, or how my voice is being stripped away from me and my voice doesn't matter. Like, how is this happening, Lord? I don't get it. What is going on? Show me. If I'm messing up, if I'm doing something that's wrong, if I'm not showing myself to be friendly, what is it? Show me, because I'm always going to look at me before I look at somebody else. I don't play that game of being the victim. No. What's going on? Okay. Come back from lunch. We're all back at the table. I said, hey, y'all, talking to the other teammates. There are 5 of us. Only she and I had the conversation one-on-one. So when the other 3 people came back, I said, hey, Colonel let me know my question was offensive. She also shared that some of y'all, like, reading from your body language, were taken back by my question. We had a conversation. I apologize. And I'm going to apologize to you all if you also perceived my question as being rude. And their reaction was like, no. Like, we're fine. Like, nobody's talking. Like, we don't even know what you're talking about right now. And then she was offended by that and said I didn't have to apologize again in front of everybody. And I made it weird. And I just said, okay, well, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know what to do. So what was strange is that behavior rubbed off on the other female that was at the table. And then that woman began to cut me off when I was talking and everything else. So I'm like, this is strange. And I don't like weird energy and strange behavior. Like, I'm all about positive vibes only. So we break off. I don't even know if this was the same day or a different day. And I talked to that person one-on-one and I was like, hey, I don't know if you've noticed, and maybe it's just my interpretation, but when I go to participate, you're shutting me. You're cutting me off and you're stripping my ability to participate away. And they were apologetic and like, no, that's not my intention. And I was like, okay. Well, we continued on through the class. That was a Friday, and I remember that day significantly. That was January 26th to be exact. And I remember that day for multiple reasons. 1, because of that interaction, and then 2, what took place in that evening in the course that I was at, like the 5-day course that I was it had invested in. And I'll talk about that at a different time, more than likely later in the year. Such a blessing. And then the next week comes, and I remember on Monday walking to the bathroom, and that colonel, because we walked the 2 different ways, came up to me and she's like, hey, right in my face, I hope you didn't have a bad weekend, just based off of what happened. I want you to know that we're good. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Y'all said that it was water under the bridge. Like, I don't have anything to say. Like, yes, ma'am. Because at this point now, I don't even know what I can say, can't say, what to do. I don't know. Just yes, ma'am. Okay, y'all. This concludes part 2 of this 3-part mini-series as I've unpacked my experience in overcoming adversity from grade school all the way through present day. And sure to return on Friday for the last portion of this story. Look forward to continuing to unpack this with you. Disclaimer: as a content creator with a background in psychology and ongoing studies in mental health, At the graduate level, it's important to clarify that I am not a licensed professional. The videos and podcasts I produce are intended for educational, information, entertainment, and transformational purposes only. While I strive to provide accurate information and insight, it's essential to consult with a licensed mental health professional for clinical perspectives and personalized advice tailored to your specific needs. Your mental well-being is of the utmost importance, and seeking guidance from a qualified provider is encouraged for any concern or issues that you may be experiencing.